Hey guys, Retro Gaming Maniac here, and in today's video, I have my brother with me, Cody, and we are going to discuss whether or not Fallout 76 is as bad as everyone is saying that it is. Um, Everybody knows that, Fallout 76 is kind of the running joke right now. Everybody's hating on it. For some, some of the reasons that they give are good reasons. So we're basically going to tell you about Fallout 76, why we think it's getting a lot of hate, and then why we think it's actually not as bad as people say that it is. So, where do you want to start with it, Cody? You want to talk about the history and when the game first launched and issues people had?
Let's start there. I want to preface it by saying that, just to avoid all the comments, we're very well aware of all the bugs that are in this game.
Yeah.
I've been killed by countless enemies that are invisible, enemies that have their entire character stretched about 2 miles east and west.
Yep.
I've been killed by different kinds of enemies that are showing up on my radar that shouldn't even be there. There's a ton of bugs, whether it's enemies that are killing you or you die, your stash bag gets lost, either completely disappears, it drops in the water and it's nowhere to be seen. You accidentally drop it in a mutated fern, and the mutated fern's hitbox is bigger than the loot box's hitbox. So you end up losing everything because you can't get to your stash.
Yeah, so
We're very well aware.
Yeah, the game has its bugs, and it still does. It has, I haven't encountered a ton of bugs that are like so bad that it makes me angry or like I don't want to play anymore, because I'm kind of used to playing early access games on PC. So, just give you a background, for me, I play a lot of early access games, so I'm used to bugs and playing unfinished games. So, coming to this and playing Fallout 76 in the state, even when it was released, the state that it was in was still not that bad to me. But not everybody is like that, and I understand that. So yeah, he mentioned the bugs. There's still bugs in the game. I think that's nearly every Bethesda game, but with this one being an online multiplayer game, to me it's kind of normal that there's more bugs like that, especially when it's Bethesda's first time really doing any kind of online game. So basically, I think some of the main problems that they have is, for one, the bugs, two, the marketing, some of the shady stuff they did with the false advertisement, as far as like the canvas bag that you're supposed to get with a special edition, and you ended up getting like a plastic, like garbage bag looking thing. They've messed up a lot with that. What do you have to say about, what do you think about their marketing and selling of the game?
Well, the game itself, even if you looked at the initial release that Todd Howard was doing, I believe it was at E3, it was very mixed response.
Yeah.
You had a bunch of people cheering in the crowd thinking this is going to be great. I've always wanted this. I was one of those people. But if you panned through the audience, you'd see a lot of people have their doubts. Sort of the skeptic, taking a break from the story-based Bethesda games to go over into something that wouldn't have a story or wouldn't have any NPCs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people were skeptical, so right off the bat, though people were excited, there was this sort of slope and downward tick in the amount of interest that people had.
Yeah, so they decided with Fallout 76, a lot of people haven't played it, they decided to go with an online Fallout experience without any NPCs. In Fallout games, usually the NPCs is what kind of helps move the story along. So they announced that, and it was hit with mixed, feelings on it. Some people were excited. I say most people were not excited. Everybody who's played Fallout knows that NPCs play a huge role, so all of a sudden taking that out of a Fallout game was a big red flag for some people. But they argue that, it lets you make your own adventure and, form your own stories and how things work. I mean, you can pretty much do whatever you want in the game. So I see what they're going for with that. But in place of NPCs in a traditional story mode, they've put in holotapes and missions that are given to you by robots, or like, an old holotape you find it, you play it, and it's somebody talking to you. Some of them are pretty good if you listen to it. And there's lots of notes laying around. You can actually get pretty invested into it, but you have to be willing to listen to holotapes and to do the digging. It's not going to hold your hand. And
Yeah.
just let you sit back, drooling and watching a cutscene. It's not going to be like that. You got to really get invested in it and do some digging, and so it's a different experience.
It very much is.
Yeah.
A lot of the missions that you're going to be coming across are going to be daily quests too. I've
Yeah.
come across like tons and tons of daily quests, but you have to do them right then and there.
Mhm.
So you have to really invest in it. If you change servers or you get disconnected, that daily quest is over. You have to like wait for it to come back pretty much. So when it comes to a lot of these quests, you really have to invest your time in it and say, I'm going to finish this one. Otherwise, if you get halfway through it, technically you didn't complete it and you switch servers, so you don't get anything.
Yeah.
So for a lot of it, you really do have to invest your time. There are others you can take your time with. I haven't done about half at least of the missions that they're giving you as part of the story, and I'm level 117. So you don't have to go with the main story. You can go with the daily quests, but it's going to come with a cost of you have to finish it.
Yeah, and there's daily quests. There is the main story that you can follow straight out of the vault. Me and my wife, we sometimes do that. And there's also events that go on in the world. So if you combine the main story with the daily quests, the events that go on in the world, plus all the random stuff that happens, whether you just exploring and finding new areas, or sometimes the AI will fight other AI, and it's really cool how the world just kind of does its own thing whether you're there or not. So the story and the lack of NPCs was another red flag for people. The graphics, we got to talk about the graphics. People were disappointed with the graphics because they said it looks like Fallout 4,
Yeah, even whenever Fallout 4 was first coming out, Bethesda themselves said that they were going to sacrifice some of the graphics in order to have that bigger map, in order to have all these moving objects going around. So even whenever Fallout 4 came out, there was a noticeable hit in the graphics, and certain NPCs sort of just looked a little bit thrown together, almost like old N64 GoldenEye type style NPCs, some of them. But when it comes down to it, I find some of the areas in 76 to be absolutely gorgeous. Over towards Harper Ferry and the daytime and in the night, absolutely gorgeous sun rays and the fog that comes through, just sort of an eerie green glow. You have the glowing sort of fireflies that are flying through. Overall, the graphics, though they're not great, you do get these occasional places that are just drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, I would say while the graphics engine does look dated, it doesn't mean it's still not capable of producing some really great looking scenery. I personally don't have any problems with the graphics. I understand people's complaints that it's a buggy system that they're using and that it's outdated. I mean, technically, this is still the original graphics engine from Morrowind back in when did that come out? Like early 2000s or 90s, maybe. It's the
Roughly.
original one. They've just been upgrading it with HD textures and adding stuff. So I don't have a problem with the graphics. It is buggy sometimes, and I think that, like you were saying, there's a lot of parts in the game and in the world that the environment and just the scenery is like just really something you just want to stand there and take in. The lighting effects are great. The trees move in the wind. It's really nice. It's something to look at. And it has a lot in that aspect that other games do not have when you compare it to some of the other games. It's just the world is so like, even though people say there's nothing going on in the game, there's like the world feels alive.
Yeah, it really does, because you can go to so many different places and see so many different things. Just traveling through the southwest part of the map, I ran across a bunch of vertibots that were all traveling around a cargo ship, and they were fighting off the mole miners over there. You can go north of that and see a bunch of gulper eels fighting a group of feral ghouls. This is the old Skyrim style of NPC fighting, where you'll just walk around and you'll see a bunch of giants fighting these thieves, or these thieves trying to rob an NPC. You'll just run across this stuff you would naturally see in a type of wasteland.
Yeah, you'll find like super mutants fighting Scorched. Scorched are kind of like your average NPC now. They're, for people that don't know, they're basically just people that burnt up people that run around with guns and stuff and weapons.
Right.
So what we'll do is we're going to keep listing some of the things that we think and that we know are problems with the game, and then we're going to start telling you why we like it. Why we still think Fallout's I won't say it's a great game, but I think it's a good game. We'll get to that in a minute. So the graphics, we talked about the graphics. I think they're fine. Definitely buggy. Definitely outdated, but so is Call of Duty. So, I mean, Call of Duty still uses the same engine, if I'm not mistaken, and it looks outdated. Like, they're only going to get so many more years with that engine. I mean, they may be able to get another 2 games with it, but
Right.
if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments section about the Call of Duty engine, but I'm pretty sure it hasn't changed. What else were people having? They were having issues with what? I mean,
Well, one of the things that I would say is a lot of the issues that we had in Fallout 4, we had in 76. One of the issues being that the lever action style rifle, there was a bug in the Fallout 4 Far Harbor DLC where when you picked up that rifle, it has a 5-round chamber. So if you shoot 1 shot, you're always going to reload 5 shots, even if there were only, 1 shot's fired. So that was pretty annoying. I had to install a mod to fix that because I don't think an official patch ever came for it. There were similar bugs from 4 that affected 76, like the spotlights that you can attach onto your camp. They'll deactivate if you leave your camp, even though they're supposed to be on. You have to go store them, put them back on, and then reconnect the wires if you want to turn it back on. So there were minor bugs that sort of came from Fallout 4 to 76, which really just fed fuel to the fire that it was a copy-paste game, which it really wasn't.
I'm sure they reused a lot of assets, and obviously they reused the same graphics engine. But when I played Fallout 4, and I didn't play much of it, I came pretty much from Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Played very little Fallout 4. For some reason, it just didn't capture me the same way that 3 did. But I came straight into 76 from Fallout 3, essentially. And, the bugs are expected. I think another thing people were having issues with were some people's had so many issues with this game, and it's been kind of the popular video to make is hating on Fallout 76, so it's hard to keep up with everybody's criticisms. But some people were having issues with the price drop. Like, a week after the game came out, they dropped it $20. So we have to mention pretty much everything that people are having issues with, or else they'll say, oh, you forgot about this. So the price drops, the fact that they're giving the game away free now with the purchase of something else.
Right.
People were upset with that, especially people that bought it for $60 on day one, and then a week later it was $40.
Right. And that was one of the things that it's just sort of a gamble. If you pre-order a game and it turns out to suck, I mean, there's really no way you can know. The only game I ever pre-ordered, because I was so confident that it was going to be good, was I pre-ordered Black Ops 2 whenever it was first coming out. And I was pretty disappointed because Black Ops 2 was super fun, but I didn't feel like it justified the $86 that I had to spend on it. I would have rather just waited a couple of weeks and got it whenever it was $40, paid half. There's a lot of really taking a high gamble risk whenever you pre-order a game, and especially a Bethesda game. If you go into a Bethesda game not expecting bugs, I don't know what company you're thinking
especially
of.
in this day and age, they're gonna drop patches like day one, or
and there was like a 40 gig update pretty much the day of or the day after.
The game, the patch of Fallout 76. That was funny.
Yeah, but so I understand why they had to drop the price. The bandwagon that was going on, if they had to keep it at 60, it probably would not have sold at all. It barely sold whenever it dropped down to 40. I believe at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe at one point Bethesda offered to refund some of the people $20 if they did purchase it like the day before that it went on the $40 sale. I read that somewhere along a couple of months ago. It may be incorrect, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I will say Bethesda has messed up a lot with their, they keep shooting themselves in the foot. Like, if it was just the game, it wouldn't be that bad, but, there's a lot of their poor marketing and PR, they've had with the people that were getting, the plastic bag, and they were just getting, 5 atoms, which is, equivalent $5 in in-game currency. Um,
Yeah.
Things like that they've really messed up on, and I'm sorry if I don't remember all the issues people were having with Fallout. I was very skeptical of Fallout 76. I actually made a video talking about how I think it's probably going to fail, which technically it is failing, which is sad, because I actually really enjoy it. Are there any other issues with 76 you think people have been talking about, making videos about constantly?
I've been on Reddit so long looking at the 76 subreddit. There's just countless lists of bugs that
Yeah.
people are complaining about, but it's always stuff that it's like niche happenings. Like I'd say there's 1 in 1,000 chance of it happening, which if you consider the player base, it's still happening to a good number of people. But it's not something so common that I would say this and then a ton of people would recognize it.
So the
I would say most of the issues that people had have been patched to this point. I had an issue that was really bugging out my character. They had some type of bug where some of the mutations they couldn't deal in decimal numbers. So if you have a decimal number on a stat, it wouldn't just round. It would try to do the math on how much health you would have based off of that decimal number, and the system couldn't do it. So it just negated the mutation entirely.
hmm.
Uh, but that has since been patched, and I've not come across any other kind of mutation conflict between two or any type of conflict between the perk cards and the mutations. So pretty much 99% of the bugs that I've run into personally, they've all been patched. Like it's been very, very clean for the
Yeah,
last few years.
so that's another thing. I think people should give the game another try if they did try it originally and they put it down afterwards. So the general consensus is the game. Um, People thought the game was gonna be boring because they took out NPCs. They say that the game is boring because there's nothing to do. Um, they said the missions are boring, graphics are bad, it's too buggy. Um, they don't like the stunts Bethesda has pulled with money, changing the prices and then special editions and all that going on. So that's pretty much the main, from what I can remember, the main issues with Fallout 76. And I'm
And
gonna,
I'm sorry.
huh?
I'm sorry if whoever you are, you said that there's nothing to do and you only made it to like level 20. I hadn't seen half the map by the time I was level 100.
Yeah,
Like there's so much to explore.
we're still
Countless
finding new
missions,
places to
so
explore.
many items. I just got a new weapon the other day at level 110.
Yeah,
Like there's a lot that you have to see and do. If you didn't make it to at least 45, I don't feel like that's a fair criticism.
yeah. So we're gonna basically cut into what we think Fallout has done correctly and what we do like about it. So we've talked about its shortcomings, issues it has, and I admit it does have issues. And like I said, I was a critic, and it has a lot of issues. But I'm used to playing games with issues, and I really enjoy this game. I've put almost 100 hours into it. Things I think they did right. While initially I did miss the NPCs, um, going out there on your own and discovering things is very rewarding.
Mhm.
If you're a person that likes open world exploration games, if you like crafting, if you like looting, lots of looting, if you
Yeah.
like, I won't say Easter eggs, but lots of like hidden things to find, and there's lots of that. The world is huge, and if I'm not mistaken, it's 4 times as big as Fallout 4.
If
Uh,
you include the insides of the buildings, like places you can enter, it's
yeah,
4 times as big as the Fallout 4 map.
yeah, and they've included a lot of a lot of options as far as like different ways to do the story, whether it be the holotape way, the daily events, or I mean, there's all kind of different things you can do, and you can kind of make your own story. You can go out there and kind of role play if you want. I've seen people set up like shops and like
Yeah.
stores you can walk into, and it's really cool. I mean, there's all kind of things. The base building is fantastic. Um, and they're still struggling to fix some things like um, some things may be unbalanced, so they're still trying to work on certain things like that.
Right.
Um, they
And
and
that's going to be a consistent problem because you
Yeah,
can balance stuff based off of players versus NPCs, but whenever you switch it from players versus NPCs to players versus NPCs and other players,
yeah,
there's going to be a lot more balancing that has to take place. So,
yeah. Which is actually another thing we forgot to mention is people complain about the PvP aspect.
mm,
which I agree the PvP aspect is very weird because if you try to fight somebody, they have to agree to fight you
Yeah.
before they actually take any real damage. So it's very weird. It's not like a kill on sight. Like you don't have to worry about running into other players. But they're supposed to release PvP servers specifically for that kind of gameplay, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be
Some type of survival mode, I think it's called.
yeah, it'll be a PvP server where you can basically go out and just fight other people and fight the world as well, like PvE and PvP.
Right. And on the subject of balancing, there was a lot to do. I was fighting somebody who was my level, and he pulled out a combat shotgun with a two-shot explosive legendary on it, and he killed me in one hit.
Yeah.
So that was a really common complaint on a lot of these subreddit forums. So what they did was they took that into consideration and they nerfed the two-shot and the explosive legendaries. So they've already taken one of the biggest steps towards balancing because that was arguably the strongest weapon in the game when it came to PvP. I've survived Fat Man attacks just off of a couple of the perks. I've never survived more than 2 hits from a combat shotgun that was explosive and two-shot. But they've nerfed that.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be a lot more fair. They're taking in critiques and considerations from the community seriously, and they're implementing them as quickly as they can and effectively, might I add.
Yeah.
They've been very balanced patches so far. The next few that are coming, which I actually, if I read it correctly, they'll be trying to release content every single week in the form of quick fixes and hot patch updates, stuff like that. So a lot of the balancing has already been done, but they're going to double down on that and continue to try to make the game more playable and more fun for everybody by keeping it somewhat fair.
Yeah. And they have been releasing updates almost every other day. I go to play it and there's maybe a small update. I think there was like a 3 gig update yesterday.
Right.
So they are actively trying to fix it. So I think the game is actually a lot better than people are claiming. I think yes, it got a bad rap in the beginning, and then people pretty much just pounced on it from there on. And if you make a negative Fallout 76 video, it's going to be popular because that's what's going around.
Yeah.
And it's still
that was
going
just
around.
the thing to do.
Yeah, so people, I think, just jumped on the train. And I know I've had some people tell me it's not a hate train, all their arguments are valid and all that. It's like, yeah, but you also, a lot of these people have not played the game, and if they have, they played like 20 minutes of it.
Yeah, which for a game that's focused around building up a character and becoming stronger over hours and hours, getting to level 20 is not means for a critique.
In some things I think they did do correctly in this game is, like I said, I think the game looks good. There are story missions in there. There are some NPCs, like we ran into Graham. He's a super mutant that walks around. He'll sell you things. That was pretty cool running into him.
Yeah.
They have mutations now, which is really cool. And basically you can take on a bunch of radiation and you'll get a different mutation each time, and that mutation has positive and negative effects. So you can really, depending on what mutations you get, you can do all kind of things, whether it be turn invisible or jump really high, or it's just really cool that they added that. It's something that people say they didn't. This was a lazy game. I don't think it was, because a lot of these mutations and things that you can do, I mean, they put some time and effort into.
Absolutely. Especially whenever it comes to the stat system. I've always spec'd really high into charisma with a Fallout game. This is by far my favorite version of the charisma stat, and it has nothing to do with talking to anybody.
Yeah.
The fact that I can share my other perk cards with people based off of how many points I have in charisma means that I'm still a part of the group and people are still getting support from me, but I don't have to say anything to them. If I see that they have a bar full of rads, I can cure that up in the matter of a minute, maybe a minute and a half. Yeah. If I see they're a little low on health, I can activate something that will help keep them alive. Before, charisma has always been about taming creatures, which you can still do. You can still get the animal whisperer and the creatures of the wasteland. But now it's not about talking to people. It's about actually helping your group. You're not convincing people of anything. You're supporting them in what you do. There are some really strong charisma cards. Arguably, the strongest that's ever been seen in any
So,
Fallout.
so for a lot of people that may watch this video, if anybody watches it, uh, explain to them what perk cards are, because I'm not mistaken, that's a new addition to this game, right?
Right. So the perk cards are pretty much the basic way of leveling up your character. In the old Fallout series, you'd have a skill tree with the special stats lined at the top and then perks going all the way down, and you would just spec into which ones you wanted. In this one, you have perk cards, where every 5 levels you get a perk card pack that has about 5, maybe 6. I think it's closer to 5. And then every single level, regardless if you hit 5 or not, you get one. You can invest in a certain type of skill tree that uses a lot of strength cards. Strength cards will increase your overall damage with your melee weapons. They'll do stuff like reduce the weight of some of your heavy weapons. There's a lot that strength can really be helpful for. The next ones over are going to be, your perception cards, which are going to help with a lot of your sniping abilities and all that type of stuff. And before, you would just put 1 star into this ability, and then that would be it. But in this one, the perk cards stack. So if I have a perk card that says plus 10, I can invest in that same card, get 2 of them, combine them together, and then I have a card that's even more powerful than the last one. And your entire roster up at the top is going to be these combined cards that are going to be helping you along your little adventure.
Yeah,
they're super handy. I love the artwork on them. The artwork is fantastic.
Yeah, artwork's your typical Fallout Vault Boy stuff, so it's really funny. And you can share these cards with your team. So if you have like I don't, did they ever say how big your group can be? 4 people, right?
I believe it's maxed out at 4 right now, but they might change that in the future.
Hopefully they change that and make it at least 10 people. That'd be cool. But so the game has the mutations, which is new. It has the perk card system, and they really leave it up to you to play the game however you want.
Right.
I basically started from the very beginning and didn't follow any of the story missions and just went out on my own. The map is divided up to, like, depending on different parts of where you go, you'll run into different level enemies, and there can be some very chaotic stuff happen. We haven't spoke about detonating nukes yet, so you can actually detonate nukes on the map, which will destroy anybody's base that they built there. But it will also create this like fallout zone, and if you're in the zone when it goes off, you'll die. But you can respawn; it's not a big deal. But it creates this fallout zone where you have tons of radiation. You have to have a hazmat suit or radiation suit to get in there, and it spawns high level enemies. And it's just a good way of farming some XP, and it creates for some very hectic and crazy things that can happen in the game, whether it be Scorched Beast flying over or every other enemy you can think of coming at you at once, and it's just mass chaos, and it's really fun.
Right. And rather than be some type of gimmick that just says, oh, well, now you have this huge field of radiation that you cannot get into unless you have a hazmat suit or a specific kind of power armor. If you don't have that, if you're just a level 10, 15, 20 walking around and you don't have a hazmat suit, you can't go in there. I mean, you could go in there for 5 seconds and then you die. But it does give you this certain feeling of satisfaction and reward, knowing that, all of this leveling up, you're in this sort of exclusive area that not everyone can get into. You're walking around with level 100, 200. I've seen level 300 people walking around, and you're along in this giant globe, pretty much.
And the world, like, when it goes off, when those nukes go off, it's really cool to be out there. The wind's blowing, it's blasting, there's crazy light, there's mushroom cloud, and you can see it like across the map sometimes.
We were actually one of the very first nukes that you and I saw. We were standing on the cliff just outside of White Springs doing poses in front of the camera and taking screenshots of as soon as it went off. I have as the bomb is going directly into the golf course, and then 1 frame later is just this huge red explosion in the background, and we're just doing some goofy pose in front of it, hoping we don't get killed.
That's the cool thing, is it has a camera mode, which I don't know if Fallout 4 had that. It probably did, but it has a camera mode that allows you to, do funny things with your friends and pose wherever you're at from different angles and take pictures. And then during the loading screens from when you start the game, or I think that's the only time it really loads is when you first start the game, it'll actually use your pictures as like the wallpaper while it's loading, so it's really cool. The game does have a Atomic Shop where you can go in and buy apparel and different things for your bases, skins. Um, it does, so in a way it has microtransactions, but it doesn't force you to use them at all. Um,
Not in the
I don't
slightest.
think
The
I've
Atomic
bought
Shop is
anything.
mentioned like once.
Yeah, I haven't bought anything yet, and I've put almost 100 hours in.
Yeah.
Um, but it's there if you want to use it. So hopefully they don't like force that later on. That would be, them getting desperate if the game doesn't
Right.
sell well here soon, or the numbers don't pick up. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I really enjoyed the game. We're still exploring. I still haven't seen lots of the map. Recently found a cave in the side of a mountain that I've made my base, and we put like bunker doors and stuff. So, um, but there's just a lot of
76.
huh?
It really shines. It really shines whenever you go off on your own or with a group of friends and you're not really looking for anything in particular to do. You and I, we were just exploring the map, climbing up these little mountains and stuff like that.
Yep.
And we found at the very top of a cliff a completely unmutated, unirradiated, normal
Yeah,
dog.
technically an NPC.
Yeah, technically an NPC. And he was just relaxing on top of the mountain, walking around. And he had a little dog bowl next to him
Next to a
and
couple
some
of
other
corpses.
little. Yeah, I was about to say, like, I remember telling you, like, oh, don't tell me, like, this dog had two owners. And then I look right, and there's two corpses sitting up against the wall holding hands.
Yep.
And I was, like, crying, trying not to let it get detected by the mic. Like,
Yeah.
there's just these moments of beauty that it has, and these little quote unquote Easter eggs that you can stumble upon that really make the game feel alive.
Yeah, the world 76. Not to sound cheesy, but it's like endless possibilities with the way they have the world set up. Like
Yeah.
some people say the gameplay loop is like broken or something. If you like exploration, crafting, doing missions, playing with your friends, creating your own adventures, and some people are gonna say, "Oh, well, you have to create your own fun." Then it's not fun. It's like, no, it's not true. You can do all kind of things that a traditional story mode wouldn't allow you to do.
Yeah. You really do make your own character. Me and you, the first time that we started playing, we were building our base just outside of the vault,
Yep.
and we got approached by these two people that were sort of role playing as Mothman cultists,
Mothman, yeah.
and they were putting on a voice and like being an NPC that you would find in other Fallout games. And it was super interesting. Like we had a great time. They ended up giving us a couple of goodies, some costumes, some
Yeah,
food.
the game is cool like that because you can role play, and the way they have it set up, they have a currency system. So like, if you're somebody that's really invested all your caps and experience into like learning plans and things like that, then you can actually make a good bit of money. People bring in their weapons to you. If they want special food or items, you can make them and like charge for it, and you can actually like run a little business on Fallout if you want to. Like possibilities are there. The base building to me is a ton of fun. I don't know how many times I've tore down my base and rebuilt one.
That was sort of what kept me playing Fallout 4 was the base building. And the biggest drawback that I had with Fallout 4 was I loved the base building. It was single player.
Yeah.
Like I'd have all these elaborate buildings, and like I had a hotel that you could go through that would have a bar and like a working restaurant and all that stuff, only to show no one.
That's when I got Fallout 4, and I was like, oh, there's base building and there's this and that. I was like, wait a second, there's base building. I wasn't even inspired to build the base. I was like, none of my friends are gonna come see it.
No one's gonna see it. Like, am I gonna invite you over to the house? Say, hey, this?
Yeah, so that's why I didn't bother base building in Fallout 4. I didn't really play much. I was like, eh.
Yeah, I put like 400 hours into Fallout 4. And it was only because of the base building. I would go in and see how well I could fortify it. And it was always fun, but it never felt rewarding at the end of the day. Because I always knew that I was going to be the only person to see this. I was going to enjoy it, but what was I going to do afterwards? Do I just scrap everything and call it a day? Do I just leave it there to gather dust? It was always a bit pointless.
I'm gonna try to find a video I can play from. This is like some crazy stuff that happens in Fallout. Let's see. Where is it at? Is this it? No, no, no.
I'm trying to think, what was the most hectic moment that ever happened to us? I'm thinking it was whenever we were all like level 30 or something, and we went to the far east towards that cave that we didn't know was going to be full of death
Oh
claws.
my god.
Oh, fall down.
We were
Yeah.
all just getting attacked by death claws, and then a scorch beast came in and decided he
got
was
him.
going to join in on the fun. We didn't stand a chance.
Nope.
Like total obliteration.
Here we go. This is us when we were.
Somewhat distracted.
Oh,
Where was this? This is where we were fighting a Scorch Beast.
That is the way.
It was just like mass chaos.
Ah!
We were at this train yard fighting, I think, 2 Scorch
That's
Beasts.
the
And
way
I
to
was
do
like
it.
a
If we
level.
can get him to land, we.
What level was I? I was a low level.
oh, he's stuck. He's stuck, Cody.
Alright, I'm back out.
He's not stuck.
It was just completely.
How?
It was just crazy.
Are we
No!
running
Scorch
for it?
Beast. We ended up finally
Yeah,
killing
well,
it
no,
and
we
took
need
some
someone to
pictures
stay in
in
here
front of
and
it,
get
and it was
the
just
guy.
a lot of fun.
Oh, I remember that one. We had to have outside help because we were so low level.
Yeah,
none of
like
us
two
could kill it.
random guys just showed up and started helping us.
Yeah.
That
And that's
battle took
really-
like half an hour.
That's really what makes the game stand out from the other survival multiplayer games I've played. You and I spent a lot of time in H1Z1,
Yeah.
and we enjoyed H1Z1, but there was always one glaring flaw. The player base was so predictable. It
Yeah,
was
KOS.
always
Kill on
it was
sight.
always KOS. You were going to kill someone on sight if you saw them. And even though you might have wanted to play some type of hero that came in and dropped supplies, you never could trust anyone else to do the same. So it ended up just being this really, I hate to use the word, but toxic group of players that would just drive around in police cars with shotguns and machine guns, mow you down, take your stuff, and there was nothing you could do about it. And this one of the first people that I ever
I
saw,
feel like I get a
we
hit on.
escaped the vault together.
Oh.
We found one other guy who was just recently out of there. We teamed up, the three of us, fought off a bunch of Scorched, and we ended up enjoying the night together, just having a nice conversation. I wasn't worried about anyone trying to kill me. Everyone that I met was super friendly, dropping off a ton of stuff for me. Some of them role-playing a certain type of character, like we said, the Cult of the Mothman.
Yeah, that was.
But all of them had one thing in common. They were super friendly. They were
Yeah.
always dropping something for you or offering to give you directions or anything needed. I've never been so shocked as when I switched to H1Z1 and then to Fallout 76.
Yeah, it's definitely different, and I think it's the way the game is set up is encouraging teamwork and co-op play as opposed to KOS. But
Absolutely.
if you do want that, they're supposed to release that. So right now I'm playing a video where we're in the what part was this? It was like where all the red grasses and like farmland near the mountain. I forgot, but we were fighting like Mirelurk Queen, Scorch Beast, Scorched, everything you could think of, and it was just mass chaos. And it was crazy. And this is the kind of like things that you can just get yourself into. And there's a Scorch Beast we killed. Yeah, lots of fun, crazy situations like this, and then there's lots of slower paced stuff where like you can just kind of chill and relax and have fun that way, you know.
And it really does give you the option to play whatever kind of character you want. It doesn't matter if you go into the game thinking, I want to be a stealthy sniper build, or I want to be a heavily armored tank with heavy machine guns, or you want to be the support character that keeps everyone's health high and their water okay, and you revive them quickly. Like, you can build any type of build you want and have it be viable. With the PvP being instituted, it's going to matter even more what type of build you get, because now you're going against other players as well. So right now, you can build anything you want, and it really, really matters what you spec into.
Yep.
You're going to want to have the ability to kill the other team, but you also want to have the ability to make sure that you're supporting your teammate along the way. Killing another player, that's going to be really helpful. But if he's killed off 2 or 3 of your guys because you wouldn't do anything to protect them, then you're not really doing much. But
Yeah.
there's a ton you can spec into that makes it really gratifying whenever you're able to get a full squad and see how this thing that you've stacked up over time has led up to what it's been. Like, the amount of time and effort you put in is very, very well rewarded, and that really shows for a lot of it.
Yeah, it does. And like I said, we've been playing lately, trying to get ready for the PvP servers. So I'm hoping they don't like say, "Oh, if we play this, you got to start over and make a new character." Hopefully they don't do that. But yeah, we've been
No.
specking into like more PvP aspects. or
Right.
things that would help with PvP gameplay. Right now, I'm playing video of when we fought the Scorched Queen recently in the Fallout zone.
Oh yeah.
Mass
Over
chaos.
in
I
the
mean,
south of Watoga.
I was shooting at the Scorched Queen and then ran into like a giant sloth on accident, and then it's just crazy.
Yeah, it gets to be really hectic, which is another point that gets to be super fun. Like, it's always fun having a casual experience, but when there's 40 times as many enemies as there are friendly players on the screen, it gets to be super crazy. You're jumping all over the place trying to avoid these hits.
Yeah,
If you
lots
got
of funny-
marsupial, you're trying to
funny
jump
moments.
past them. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've had
lots
plenty of moments where I'm just firing into the sky, screaming, hoping that I'm able to kill this thing before it
Yeah.
kills me.
So this is a game you can have like crazy situations and things happen, funny things happen, and it's also a game where you can just sit back, make your base, and chill and like admire the view and sit in a lawn chair, or play some music on the guitar, set up at your base, and just listen to the
Yeah.
Appalachia radio or whatever you want to do. So I
There are
really enjoy
some-
this game, and I suggest people give it a second chance and try to come into it with an open mind and not get indoctrinated or brainwashed by watching tons of negative videos on something. Like I said, I was skeptical before, and I put a video out talking about how I thought the game would fail. And
We're not saying you're wrong if you dislike the game.
Yeah.
A lot of it does come down to what you put preference on. For me, the story of Fallout 4 was never why I put so much time into it. I think I played through the story mode 2 or 3 times, but I did it begrudgingly just to see what the cutscenes would look like instead of looking them up on YouTube.
yeah,
What kept me playing over and over again was the base building, the leveling up, the seeing how powerful I could get, the getting all of the legendary gear. That's the stuff that kept me playing. So for me, transitioning to 76 was perfect. I didn't care about it not having a story.
yep.
I liked the NPCs in Fallout 4, but I liked the people that are actually PCs that are going around pretending to be NPCs. They can actually talk to you whenever you talk to them.
Yeah, it is. A lot of the people you run into, I mean, they're nice. They'll give you stuff. They'll help you out.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just mind their own business too. But
Yeah.
So in conclusion, give the game. The game definitely has problems. It's a great game, but it's a great flawed game.
Yeah.
So give the game a chance. I don't think the game is as bad as everybody says. I think it's actually got a lot of qualities that are really good. I think that they messed up on their marketing and how they presented the game and how they handle certain situations, but the game itself, the gameplay itself, and the game itself is a fun game. Now, Bethesda, they may have issues as far as the way they do things, but the game itself, speaking only of the game and not Bethesda themselves, I think it's a great game, and I think it's one that people need to check out and give a second chance. I think it has a lot of things they've added, lots to do, and I don't think it's a lazy game with no innovation in it.
Right.
So anything you want to say in closing?
I would say find what you really like in a game and find that in 76, because unless you're talking about I really like story, it's probably in 76. I like being a support character for my team and base build. I can do both of those things really well because it gives me the chance to do those things.
Yep.
Find what you enjoy, find your little niche, and unless it's something really specific like a story, I can guarantee you're going to find it there.
Yep. The game has a lot of possibilities as far as what you can do. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification button so you are notified when I upload a video. But give the game a chance. I think it's a lot better than people say. It's going to be one of the few videos you'll find on YouTube talking good about the game, because it's not really the popular thing to do. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. If you like this video, let us know. Maybe we'll do some more Fallout 76 discussion videos. But thank you for dropping by, Cody, and we will see you guys later.